Now!
I think we're live. I'm going to assume that we're live. And if anyone is actually watching already, hello. I'm Scott from Digital Puppets, and joining me tonight is my brother Anthony from Digital Puppets, who does all the 3D side. And our guest tonight is Mike Federali from Stereo Studio. And basically this show, it's just a chat between the three of us. And if anyone out there wants to join in the conversation or has any questions for any of us, whether that's about what we're discussing or what it is that we do, and we'll introduce ourselves a little bit more in a second, then by all means, just drop us a message on YouTube. It should really pop up, I think, on the screen. If not, I'll be keeping an eye anyway, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that anybody has. And with that said, might as well just get straight into it. So as I said, joining us tonight is Mike Federali from Stereo Studio. We know Mike because we've done loads of work and lots of projects with him going back quite a few years now. It was before COVID, wasn't it, Mike, that we first started working together?
Mike, introduce yourself. About.
Well, I was getting to that bit. Thank you very much. I literally got my notes in front of me, and I was just about getting to that. And as per usual, you jump in and make me sound unprofessional.
Okay, so I'll jump in. Yeah, I'm Mike Federali. I work for Studio Star, which technically I guess is like just me and a couple artists and you guys from time to time. Yeah, we've done Felix the Cat. We've done some internal projects. We've got some weird little animations that folks may have seen, and we have some more stuff in the works.
And what is it that you? I mean, I know Stereo Studios isn't your only preoccupation. You.
Oh yeah. You talk about my day job. So by day, I run Incredible Conventions, which is a bunch of comic conventions and anime conventions up and down the East Coast of the United States.
Yeah, one year I'm going to have to 100% get across and go to. Could we have? I mean, we do have them in the UK, and it is starting to become more of a thing, and I do notice it more, but it's still nowhere near the level of what you have in America. In fact, the first time I become aware, I mean, I've heard of Comic-Con, but on my honeymoon, I was in Florida, and I come out of my hotel room in the morning just to go and get. Back in the days when people still bought newspapers and stuff like that.
Right. And
I used to enjoy buying the local newspaper from wherever I was. And I got up just to buy, to go to shop. And there was like literally, it felt like hundreds of people around us just dressed as like elves. And I literally had no idea what the hell was going on. Because as I said, here in the UK, it is not a common thing. So I had no reference for it. I had no idea why everyone was walking around like elves, so I found it really freaky. But now, obviously, I think shows like The Big Bang Theory has made it a lot more common for us. It's all right, I've got someone just out of shot, just like beckoning me, and I'm just trying to wave them away.
So to confirm, are you saying elves or are you saying Alf?
It was a bit. It was all just. Elves. It was like
unless there was loads of elves, because that was even. There was like those elves, as in the alien elf. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. If it's alien life form Alf, that's really, really impressive. That 100. Okay, that's still pretty cool, but like.
No, wait, it was just kids with pointy ears and green hair, really. But some of them look pretty cool. Yeah. Anyway, there's a long way of saying it. One day I need to get over and
absolutely. Like dude, you guys, I would love to have you guys out to mine, as a matter of fact, as much stuff as you guys do. Like just to jump into this, I am the digital puppet stuff, the real-time 3D stuff. It's like I'm shocked that more people aren't doing it for their own comic book IP, for being able to just like go out there and speak as the character instead of I've seen people do where it's like, yeah, they get a cosplayer to dress up as their character, but like they're gonna know more as the, they're going to know more answers and like more attitude and more kind of how they want that character to come across. So like, to me, it makes sense of just like, hey man, if you can get the software, if you can do the, get a really good puppet from you guys, that kind of stuff, I think it's a no brainer.
I
I mean, we've been
things where people still don't really realise that you can do it. It's still really new.
I mean, guys, it's really, really mind blowing to see it work. Like I've seen it work a couple times in person. It's been like I'm moving my hand and the character's moving their hand. It is, but the average person is so beyond their day to day. It's one thing to say like, hey, I got on my computer and it scanned me and I was able to have like a puppy dog face while I'm talking in a meeting. But it's another thing entirely to say I'm able to make content in real time as my own character. That's a lot to take in mentally.
Well, I've been trying to get in touch with. I mean, I haven't recently because more recently, YouTube is really kind of like YouTube channel. People wanting to set up kids channels on YouTube is really taking up a lot more these days. But a few years ago, I was contacting loads of, because as you said, it seems a bit of a no-brainer. Yeah. I was getting in touch with all like publishing houses, like Penguin and people like that, that do all the kids' books.
Right.
And I was saying, like, I can turn all your characters, all your IP characters into, digital puppets that you can stream directly into classrooms because you're in the UK and I imagine all over America too and all over Europe and all over Asia, most classrooms now have like, the white screens, they're like computerized. So you could stream directly into a classroom and you could be in the UK, yet you could stream and do a talk to a class over in America or over in Australia. And it just seems like and also you can make promotional content that quickly, really fast, and if anything you can make fast means relatively cheap, but most of the time it's just getting past the gatekeepers. I could never really find the right people to get in touch with, and I had a lot more success with TV. People got it, and we've done loads of work for those, but I always thought the publishing world was a dead cert, an easy sell.
I think nope. The problem, one of the main things that happens is people have their workflows and it's safe. So it's a case of if it's not broke, don't fix it. And until you start seeing a lot of examples of some like big IPs, that's when more people will want to get involved. So it's just get that big IP out there, big thing out there, and then it opens the floodgates, I think, and it's just making something really cool. And we try and do as much as we can for ourselves.
Yeah.
It always comes down to having time.
Yeah, I mean, we are working on something at this very minute that would potentially show a lot more people, maybe all around the world, what we're doing. But we'll have to tell you about that off air.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time you guys have sent me anything, it's like, hey, check out what we're doing. It's like, yeah, of course you guys are doing like the most advanced, crazy, cool stuff. So yeah, I'm excited.
But other than that, like I will have to say that loud. So you mentioned briefly when you introduced yourself that you work with like Felix the cat. So what exactly, are you? Is that comic books? Are you writing them? Are you creating them? What is it that you do with them?
I wrote the graphic novel that's out from NBC Universal DreamWorks for Felix the cat. It's just a single volume. I got to bring in a bunch of new characters. I got to play with old characters everybody loves. It was really, really cool. It was a lot of hard work. It took a long time. A lot of it happened during COVID, so there was delays on top of delays on top of delays. But I was really, really proud of it. And I can't say that like working with an established IP is easy, but it was rewarding. It was definitely rewarding.
I know we've done quite a bit of work with.
Sure, you guys are familiar with the like.
It's that whole too many cooks in a kitchen scenario. I always find no one person has the authority to say yes or no to anything.
And so I'll take this opportunity to tell people too. It's like, hey, we have some stuff that we've been making in house, and like it is a lot more free. And you guys are, I'm sure you're familiar too, where it's like if you create something of your own, you don't have to ask anybody permission for this or that, or you don't have to get permission and then be told later that, well, we actually want to go do this now, or that's too close to something else that we've got going, so we need to change your thing. It's like, no, just do your project and do it how you want.
Yeah, and like right now at the moment, doing that is like in the past and until the recent past, it always felt like, the gatekeepers were really, almost impossible to get by. If you wanted to create anything, creative or a character, you needed to get into an existing comic book with an existing publisher, or you had to be able to get a network to and, give you a project to go ahead, that they bestowed onto you their, like the honor of being on their TV channel, where now, you got all these, the TV shows are struggling because actually the most watched content in the world is like YouTube. That's where everyone, all the kids, Generation Alpha or Generation Z or whatever the bloody called now, that's how they're consuming their content. So
it's
you
like
can go.
Remember, like back when like you used to get like episodes of, I don't know, like there was like we had Coronation Street over here, or episodes of X Factor where they'd brag about hitting so many million views. So this many million, it's like YouTube videos are getting that in a day. Like,
right, exactly. They're just casually getting that, and like they're not having to do like these big, huge campaigns. They don't have to be on prime time on TV for 3 nights a week while they're doing the trials and all this stuff. Or not the trials. What was it called? The auditions, the trials. But I guess to speak a little bit to that, we're in a place where everybody can, if you want to do it, go out and do it. Like if you're worried about funding and stuff like that, that's a little tougher. But if you have an IP and you're really excited about it, I don't even mean to say IP. Like it's just kind of one of those things that I keep saying in meetings and stuff like that. But if you have a character, or if you have a cartoon, or you have an idea, let's say you have an idea and it's a good idea. Like first of all, work on the idea quite a bit, make it into something that you can show people, and then put it out. It's like it'll find its audience for the most part. I believe that. I really do believe that. Like it might not find like 1 million followers, but like what does find 1 million followers? Like, well, you can completely get by. I have 10,000 fans and they all love it, and it's enough to keep the project going, et cetera, et cetera. So like I think that finding the audience is tricky at first, but it's also just like it's worthwhile to find your audience. Don't find it on behalf of somebody else, or don't try to say I've got to get 1 million views, I've got to get 1 million followers, and all that stuff. Like that's
well, that's the thing, because like TV shows, when they develop something and it costs them millions of pounds and they're putting it on the air, they need all them. Like nowadays, you get like a film out like like any film, and if it isn't making like 400 million pounds or £1 billion, crazily, it's like, oh, this is a fact. If something makes only like 40 million pounds, or only make 40 million pounds in its opening weekend, which like I think not Beetlejuice, that's done all right, but I'm trying to think of a film recently where it didn't quite. I mean, I'm just thinking of a film which is done okay. Like I think the Flash movie, I know that came out last year, which I think that did about 400 million in total, and that was considered a flop because the amount of money spent on it, and then the marketing on top of that, they needed it to be $1 billion movie, and which I think they banked on because obviously they brought back Michael Keaton. And to be fair, I thought it was a good film. I actually enjoyed the Flash movie. Okay, the CGI was woefully terrible. I don't know what the creative choice behind that was, but I did enjoy it. But my point I'm getting at is that TV stations or networks or movie studios, they need shows and films to make X amount of money. Whereas if you've got a YouTube channel, you can, if that YouTube channel turns over $50,000 a year, that would be enough for one person to live on. And one person might be really happy with that. They'll be happy if it made more, but $50,000 from a YouTube channel is really good. And I know people that are making 10 times that amount on YouTube. However, whether it was $50,000 or $500,000 for, say, the BBC or NBC or whatever, that wouldn't be enough, so it's harder for them. But for individuals, there is money to be made. And yes, I get what you're saying. It is difficult to find investors at the moment because the model is changing. In the past, they used to all just pull together and invest in TV programs. where now they're just trying to understand this new world of YouTube. But there are definitely people out there that do appreciate and understand it. You just have to, find them and, do
I think there's probably, to me, there's two kinds of investors that we run into. There's creatives, like they want to invest because they themselves are creative and they believe in like, hey, your creativity and that stuff. And there's other people that are just like, hey, we're trying to see what's going to be the next big thing, and if we have an opportunity, put some money on it early. And not to say there's not people like in the middle of that range, but it does feel like that a lot, where it's like you'll get some people who are like, well, we love what you're doing, but we don't think it's going to hit $1 billion, so we're out. And it's like, I think what do you guys call it? Lion's Den? You guys call it, or Dragon's Den? What is it?
Oh, yeah. You should call it Shark Tank over there, don't you?
Yes, we call it Shark Tank. So it's like,
it's the same show, but it's just
yeah. But I think that even the existence of that show has kind of turned investor types when it comes to creative projects. I think it's kind of changed who and how they operate, who they are and how they operate. I think like they're very much like, well, big picture, what are we looking at? It's like, I just want to talk to, you guys know the same thing. It's like, you want somebody to come along, really, really be excited about your project and then get involved. Like that's and to what degree can people even get involved these days? So
going on there, like say that the show is what we called it, creating ideas. Do you actually, when you're coming up with new ideas, do you take that into consideration? Do you think about what the investors might be interested in, or do you just make what you want to make and then try and pitch it and sell it?
I think if you make what you want to make, then no matter what, you'll be happy. If somebody doesn't pick it up, it's not like you like. If you're trying to crack the formula or figure out what everybody wants, you'll figure out what everybody wants, but it might not be what you want to make, and it might not be fun to make, and it might not be good in the end. Like, we can sit here and say, hey, let's take the 5 biggest TV shows in the world right now. Let's figure out what they are, and let's synthesize those down into a formula and say, let's make that, but slightly different. It's like, I don't want to do that. Like, there's a really, really great publisher, Boom Studios, and Ross Ritchie, he used to say this all the time, where it was like, he's like, I don't want to make, my version of Captain America, or this is this. He's like, I want to make the next thing. It's like, I want to make my thing. And it's like, everybody wants to, I don't want to make Mickey Mouse 2.0. I want to make whatever my version of Mickey Mouse is going to be. And if it's a heartwarming character, that it's like, yeah, just do that. You guys, I'm sure I've seen plenty of you guys' stuff where it's like, yeah, but that's a really cool character. That's a really cool character. So if one of those catches on, you'd be much happier if that was the case. I don't really agree with, you absolutely can. You could say, I'm going to make what should be $1 billion making movie. And in order to do that, I'll need this. So it's like anybody can come up with the recipe and say, I need The Rock, I need Kevin Hart, and I need 4 other elements. Like, no, like it's like, okay, like if I had to, and we could all sit here and do this. Like, okay, well, who are the top 5 movie stars? What are the top 5 genres? I'm surprised if you said right now, it's like, oh, you know what? If you put The Rock in a horror movie, and it's like, with as much money as those make versus how much they cost to make, like, there's as much profit there is to do. Like, cool. So if The Rock is in a movie that costs $100,000 to make, like a Blumhouse film, like that's not how much they cost, but let's put him in a cheap horror movie, and he starts a new franchise, and now that franchise has made $1 billion, and each movie has only cost us a little under $1 million to make. It's like, is that good, better, than saying he's got to be in a DC thing? It's got to be a known IP. It's got to be a this. It's got to be a that. I will take. And again, not rebooting anything either. I'm not saying like let's make The Rock into Jason from Friday the 13th. I'm saying let's make The Rock a completely new dude who's running from a witch or a bunch of witches or a coven of witches, and he's the last such and such, blah blah blah. It's like, cool. Give me something like that. And it costs a very little bit amount of money to make, and it's a very good story. Like, I think that's I
kind of feel like you see a lot of these days. It's a lot of, like, say, reboots or sequels, and it just like feels like they're just, okay, we've got a formula, that's the formula approach, we know it's going to make money, and they'll do well, but then that'll be the end of it until they bring out
we just saw a couple of days ago, we just saw Beetlejuice, and I can tell you right now, it's like, look, man, it was a fun ride, and I get the appeal of why people want to see it. It harkens back to not say simpler time, but it's like, it's a it's very low stakes. It's very just as in most parts as funny as it was. Like there's no harm in that. Like I think sometimes we get a little too attached to it ourselves. We're like, oh, I don't want to see them ruin it. It's like it's not ours. Like it's, I don't own it, you don't own it, and if somebody wants to keep going because they also love it, then that's going to happen. Reboots are going to happen. Sequels are going to.
Do you think they will ever? Is one for you then? You say reboots are like kind of inevitable. Do you think they'll ever reboot Back to the Future?
No, I know for a fact they won't because they said Robert Gale and.
Well, I know. Well,
it'll never happen in their lifetime. That's part of their contracts. That's part of their stuff. I think maybe 50 years from now it'll happen. Like maybe we'll be talking.
50 years time.
85. It'll be going back to 2055. Who knows? So
if you do it that. Right.
So, Ant, I'm going to interrupt just for a second because we do have some questions. So, so we got Nick World. I do believe that Nick Ellison that was on last week, and he was just admiring the fact that you got run over, Ant. And he just keeps going on saying that we should make our own thing, which we'll get back to that in a second. Like we'll talk about the difficulties of creating your own thing. Why it isn't so easy to just go off and make it. But we'll roll back to that in a second.
A very quick thing I just want to chip in. Nick did mention that my mic is echoing. So if you let me know
said that, but I can't hear it echoing my side. But,
yeah, but
I mean, I don't know.
Through their stream. So let us know if it's still echoing.
Right, yeah.
And yeah, carry on.
And then C. Thrower, he asked you if the real-time 3D is an xsens suit through Unreal.
It is,
and
yes.
It is. I can confirm that is. He also said that Mike is right. Make what you want. And I agree with that because you think about it. If there was a formula, then Marvel, Disney, they wouldn't be making these flops left, right, and center, which we're kind of getting at the moment. So ultimately, I think you kind of just need to make... You should have the ballpark figure of knowing what is like work within an arena, but entertain yourself. Often that's what comedians will say. They'll come up with joke that they find funny, or a script writer or write a script they think is entertaining. And if they can entertain themselves, the hope is they'll entertain others. If you're trying to do it by numbers, I think you end up with a Disney situation where actually you try and tick so many boxes and please so many people that you actually end up pleasing nobody. You're better off just doing what you think will please yourself.
Yeah.
Within reason, and hope for the best, and then you get more originality from that.
I don't know that people are in a rush to reward originality with money, though. Like, and if you're a studio, you don't. If you're a studio, you don't care if it's original. You care that it's
no. I get that. Yeah.
If the very, very top people are, if they're they're beholden to investors and they say, all right, well, we have $10 million to invest in the following, in a handful of projects. We got to pick the right projects, and they're just trying to pick winners. They're not necessarily sitting there saying like, wow, this is original, and we will be rewarded for picking the most original project. They're
no. I totally
picking the most money-making thing.
And that's the thing is, normally, if you pick something that's original, that can normally be a start of a franchise. But it's the biggest gamble. It's the biggest reward.
And even to go back to the Back to the Future thing we were just talking about, it's like, look, at some point, Back to the Future was the most original thing we'd all ever seen.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my God, it's original, it's mind-blowing, it's the greatest thing. And then it's like, oh, and then 2 more movies come out. It's like, okay. I personally wasn't a huge fan of 2. I thought 3 was amazing, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, yeah, they did exactly what we were talking about. Like, they found their new cash cow, and they were like, let's double down, let's make more, let's triple down, let's make more of it. Let's make a cartoon about it. Let's make a musical about it. Like, yeah, like
that music. I saw that musical recently, and that was brilliant.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, like, even as an example of just saying, like, look, we're talking about like people making their original stuff. Now, I will say that in both those instances, Bob Gale and like Tim Burton and everybody, and like, there's actually 2 writers that I always forget when it comes to Beetlejuice, but it's like it is like, hey man, they made their original thing, and it went as far as it possibly could have, and it probably shocked the world that it's like, how did a movie about a bio-exorcist end up becoming, one of the best cult movies of all time,
Well, what I will say is that you're 100% correct, and I totally get it as well. Why studios invest in known IP and they're not going after originality, because at the end of the day, the budgets that they're spending are like hundreds of millions of pounds. You're going to be scared investing that kind of money into an original idea. Though there is a school of thought that will say you could divvy up that money and make a load of indies. However, you won't make that money back. So there's the answer to that. But what you can do, going back to what we were saying earlier, is if you launch your own channel on something like YouTube and you build your own following with something original, and you can show studios that, look, you know, like Cocomelon and all these channels look, we've now got videos that are being viewed millions of times, even billions of times. Then you give, you know, like I think Ryan's World has just brought out a movie over the last couple of months, and that was just a kid whose parents said, well, open this stuff up and look happy about it ultimately. So,
and sorry not to cut in. I think what you're talking about makes complete sense, and I think that's why things have changed. It's been decades of that, where it's like, hey, make your thing, and if we can see that it would scale well, like, oh, you on your own got it to 100,000 followers. Well, if we put a little bit of money behind this, it'll go to here. Additionally, it's saying that now that your IP is now proven. Nobody wants to take a bet on a IP that isn't at least somewhat proven. I've heard many stories of people going like, hey, I looked at a pitch. It was terrible. I passed on it. And then it's like, okay. And then that one ends up becoming Adventure Time. It's like, you have to kind of show people more and more and more. And like,
I mean, Peppa Pig got famously rejected by pretty much everybody. I think the very last, I mean, I know it ended up on the BBC, but I don't know who originally produced it. But I do remember watching a talk from one of Peppa Pig is made by the two animators and ultimately like a producer. And I can't remember what his name is. Baker and I don't know. Anyway, point is, there's a really good interview on YouTube with him. And if you can find his name and put interview, you should be able to find it. But he said like that was rejected by everyone.
Yeah. And now it's like they're you know, obviously the government funds it to be made, and that's great, like in a Sesame Street kind of way. But they also did the Sesame Street thing, which is they kept the rights to the licensing. And the licensing, I mean, there's all kinds of, you know, there's countries that they're never going to see, where it's like, we make Peppa Pig pancake batter. We make what's it, the jumping up and down in muddy puddles. What's the thing that she wears? Like the little gold boots or whatever, the little shoes, the galoshes. And it's like, yeah, there's companies that make those for them. It's like they were really, really smart in keeping that thing. And the other part was like, it is just a good IP. It's just a good, it's a good character. Like it's very family friendly. It's like it's everything that they set out to make. They're like, okay, let's just make something that we want to make. So
well, we've got.
Peppa
Pig World.
They did not sit there and say, hey, formula, we need The Rock meets.
But we do. This is the problem where when we find sometimes during these like live interviews is that you have that little look when you're like you know, tripping over each other, especially for the moment. I can hear you, but I can't see you, so I've got no visual cue on like when you're about to stop talking and stuff like that. And I don't know if Anthony's about to chip in. So I wait for a millisecond, and I think he's doing the same thing, and then we both end up talking at the same time.
I'm distracted because I'm essentially watching two cartoons on the left and right of me. I'm like, it's like, okay, like I'm seeing.
I'm quite busy surfing.
Like, you know, he's surfing on top of a car, so it's like, okay, that's what caught my eye. Like, oh. And again, if you want to do that, if you want to like take that idea right there, show me a guy whose superpower is he can control cars and ride them. Great, awesome.
Well, I mean, maybe we should talk a bit about like because of course anyone watching this might be interested in getting into making their own content, and they might. I did a thing on LinkedIn a while ago where it was talking about the development of ideas, and the post that really hit home the most and got massive engagement was about investment. Everyone out there at the moment is struggling, as you mentioned, to find investors, or maybe like the biggest studios are struggling to find investors, so maybe the individual can find it. And you know, if, as we just discussed, if you were to come up with a new IP that took off, then the rewards can obviously be huge. Coming up with a successful kids IP, even a middling ground one where you only get middling success can actually return a lot in a way of like licensing rewards and stuff like that. So
this is why I
if
think
you are, sorry, Ant, if I just finish the main point I was getting to.
I'm going to try and cut in. See, that's the with the
Yeah,
lag.
well, I'll just go on then, carry on.
No, Scott, finish your thought.
Yeah, go on, carry on. He doesn't remember what he was saying now. Go, carry on.
Nah, but my long way around of saying was, how much do you think how much should people be wanting to get off investors? What do you think is an amount that people should be willing to invest into a project realistically?
I don't know. I mean, like the answer is just always going to be changing. It's just going to say, what is your budget to make the project as much as you can? So like, if you say, hey, it'll cost me $200,000 to make an episode of something, and I don't mean that's not realistic at all, but like to make a more indie underground animated thing, it's like, well, I want to make 10 episodes of it. So it's like, okay, well, we can put this much. Well, okay, we can only make 8 episodes of it. Like, I think we're seeing a lot of that, which is, and you guys have seen, like, you see these Netflix shows that pop up and they disappear for a year. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, they drop all at once and you never hear about them again. It's like, oh, the model has changed so much. And,
I see that's throwing Americans more, because in the UK, generally a season is only like 6 episodes.
Yeah, I think we took that idea, but dropping it all at once here is the thing that's so weird to me. The few shows that had been the most talked about the last 2 years, it's like, what was it, WandaVision and things like that, where it was like, yo, that was amazing. We all talked about it the week after. And so it was Disney basically saying, we're not going to do the Netflix model. We're not going to let you binge this. We're going to make you have to think about it. We're going to make you have to talk about it. I would say just any.
I think it's a better model.
I honestly think it's a better model because, like you say, you binge it, and then it's such a long wait to the next season.
But it's also so quick to forget. You show me 8 hours of anything, and I watch it in one sitting, or I watch it in 2 days. If you want to see was it Netflix make the most money, then go back to putting not say go back to, because they never have, but put Stranger Things on for was it 8, 9, 10 episodes? But put those all through October. Like, make it be the biggest talked about show and have it end right before Thanksgiving, something like that. But let people talk about it week to week. Let people not be able to spoil it within a half a day of it being up.
It's one of those weird things, because I completely agree that's the way it should be and I prefer it, but then I also get really mad if I can't watch the next episode straight away.
That's you train your brain. Like that's it. If you want to see a really fun exercise on that, is like I know a bunch of people that they talk about like studying animation. They talk about studying film all the time, and it's like no one says you have to sit and watch the film all at once to study it. You can watch it. You can watch one scene over and over and over again. You can watch Psycho in 2 halves. You can watch Batman Begins. You can watch Dark Knight Rises. You can watch anything.
It normally takes me about a week to watch one episode anyway, because by the time I finish work, I'll go and sit down to watch something. I'll fall asleep. Then the next night, I'll watch another 5 minutes and fall asleep. And then I'll do that. And it'll probably take me all week to watch one episode. At the moment, I am watching the new Zack Snyder, the Viking one on Netflix.
Oh, boy.
Oh, what is that called?
It's not Chaos. It's the other one, right? With
No, Chaos. I enjoyed that as well. That was really good. But it's another one with the Norse gods, and it's got like Loki and Thor. It's like super adult and violent.
Right.
It's okay.
Wait. The Zack Snyder thing is super adult and violent, and it's got some slow motion.
No, it does not have any slow motion that I've noticed so far.
That's shocking.
But it's all right. I think it's called Twilight of the Gods, maybe.
Okay. Oh, is it called Twilight of the Gods? That's interesting. That was the original name for a pitch that Alan Moore made for DC Comics that never happened.
I think it is. I might be wrong, so don't hold me to that. I think it's what's springing to mind. But yeah, Chaos, I enjoyed that. I thought that was very good, actually. I look forward to the next season. But as you're saying, it is better when they release it one a week, because one, it gives you something to look forward to.
Yes.
And two, it does build up that kind of anticipation and tension, and all of us discussing, what do you think is going to happen next? And that's how you get shows develop cult status. Whereas when something is dropped all at once and forgotten about by the following week, that show is just lost to history.
Exactly.
So,
that's an honest bummer. It's like, man, it's like, and if you want, I mean, and even to go back to it, it's like, let's say that you did that. You spread one season across 3 months. There are people that only sign up to watch Stranger Things and then they drop Netflix for the rest of the year.
I do that with
not out of them for watching that show. Go for it.
Yeah, I will literally. If there's like Now TV or something like that, it's just got Apple TV. I was watching The Silo. As soon as that season, and Ted Lasso, finish them, cancel the subscription. I'll put it back on when the next season comes.
Yeah,
on.
I did that with Apple TV as well. I watched Ted Lasso.
Oh, let me jump in and ask you guys this question. How is, you might not have a way to tell this, but is it bigger there than it is here? Is it bigger in the UK than it is in the States?
Ted Lasso was very popular in the UK. How big was it in America?
Massive. It was huge. I was just curious if it was like, was it a phenomenon there? Like it is a phenomenon here? Like,
I don't think it was a phenomenon. I think it was popular and people liked it and they certainly talked about it and enjoyed it. Did loads of people go out and get Apple TV just to watch it? Probably not.
Right.
So it was probably, no, it wasn't a phenomenon.
Everyone I know who's watched it has loved it. But
Yeah,
I don't think
loved it.
it wasn't pushed as big. But again, like Apple TV isn't pushed as big over here.
How would you guys describe the show? Now, I mean, you guys have seen it. If you said if you were the guys that pitched Ted Lasso, how would you pitch it? You got one sentence. You got to say it in one sentence. It's this meets this. I have an answer. I'm just curious, like what you guys believe. It's like if you guys were in Shark Tank right now, and it's all up to me to sign Ted Lasso based on one sentence you guys give, what would you guys call it?
I would say it's the Muppets feel good, but with humans based around football.
Okay. That's pretty good. What about you, Ant?
No, I'm no good at coming up with stuff like that. Literally, I don't know. It's definitely had an American comedy feel, but based around British
actors. No, it felt totally American in terms of. I mean, the only Britishness was the fact that it was based in the UK and it was British actors for the whole, the team. But no, it had a more kind of a sitcom. No, I don't know about sitcom, but yeah, it definitely had an American, because it definitely wasn't a British feeling show, because British shows are often a lot more, they pride themselves on, I don't know, being a bit more edgy and
sure.
More sarcastic.
Sarcastic. Yeah, we're always kind of, the humour here is a bit more taking the mick out of ourselves. We're always kind of down on ourselves. And the hero ultimately, most of the time, fails. They're always like the unlucky loser.
Yes.
And everything always goes wrong for the person at this. Nothing ever really seems to go right. It's almost like we don't want it to. It's not realistic. That's all. Look at all the biggest shows over here. Like
the main character, look at 40 Towers and stuff like that. The main person essentially is a horrible person. Nobody like them. But yeah, it's
I've been saying for a long time that it's you guys familiar with the Bad News Bears? You guys have that there?
I've heard of it only because I listened to Kevin Smith's podcast.
Okay,
and I have done for years, and he talks about the Bad Time Bears all the time, but I've never seen the film.
Bad News Bears. So let's say the British Bad News Bears meets Andy Griffith. Andy Griffith was just like the most wholesome show you could possibly imagine, and he was that guy. So like he's like the Ted Lasso character is very out of step with everything else that was on TV, and maybe that was the best thing that he could be. He could just be like, look, man, here's a purely good human being. I can't name any shows that have pure good human beings except maybe Peppa Pig. So it's like, if you said, like, you know what I mean? It's like he caught attention just by being this perfectly good dude. And I think that there's some things that's kind of spilled into. We're starting to get white hat good guys again. We're starting to get things like Benoit Blanc from Knives Out. We're starting to get characters that are like, oh, this is a purely good person. We've gotten past the Sopranos and Breaking Bads and all these kind of shows, and they're anti-heroes. Like, no, show me a genuinely good dude, and I'm in for a while.
Do you know one thing I've noticed?
That's from America. You don't get it. We still got nothing like that in the UK.
One thing I've noticed, and I don't know if this again is this English comedies, but all comedies at the moment seem to start off really funny, and then they just get really depressing.
Get really depressed. Yeah, I was watching Readers on Netflix.
The characters down until you just feel really sorry for them towards the end.
Do you think that's the weather there? Do you think it's like the fog?
Probably, yeah.
I'm just going to interrupt because we've got a bunch more comments, and I don't want them to fall too far behind.
Then after these questions, I have to tell you guys a weird thing that if you guys can make this into animation of some kind, I will be thrilled. But okay.
Okay, that's a challenge. Right, so Nick's been chipping in more, and so first of all, he's adding genuine question: why would you even want? I can imagine him with his hands on his hips while he's asking this question. Why would you even want to work with studios at the beginning? If views are now online, they can be monetized with ads and sponsors, which is enough at the beginning. I agree with that, Nick, but actually, to get a show off the ground, it takes time to build up all the assets. And if you've got bills to pay, then that's difficult if you haven't got any other money coming in. So you do kind of need an investor or someone to partner with to finance a project.
And also, you need a team of people. It takes a team of people to really get something off the ground. And it's not just, like you say, say if it's an animation show, you got writers, animators, marketing. There's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to be done. But this is where I think, what's happening with AI, real-time animation, it's getting to a point where, like we were saying earlier, it's a big risk trying new original stuff. But if you can start pumping stuff out quickly and testing it with an audience, you can get a quick kind of, this works, that doesn't work. And, it gives you a way to go to the investors with a bit of proof of concept. And I think we're getting there.
I would add to that that even though I don't always speak great of studios and that kind of thing, and or publishers or partnerships, or sometimes those things don't work out, but that's not necessarily to say that those are the norm. It might be that hey, if you have a great idea and it gets to the studio and they say, hey, we have thousands of people that'll help you make your idea better, or we have thousands of people that'll get behind your idea, there's ways for that stuff to work out. It's not to say that they're all bad, or to approach it with that mentality is not smart either. You might say, man, I took a meeting and it was I was expecting it to be really bad. It turns out the 4 people are really, really on board. They love your idea. They want to help you find funding. They want to help you shape it a little better. Or the dream is that somebody comes along and they say, no notes. What do you need? How do we get this on the air for you? How do we this? How do we that? We love what you've created. So I think it is easy to kind of get ooh, I don't want to do a studio. They're not offering me anything. It's it's not necessarily just money. It can be time. It can be experience. You guys know it's you might talk to people and then you'll be in a room with 7 people on a Zoom, and their combined knowledge is 70 years of animation experience. You shouldn't say no to those kind of things, and you shouldn't not say look a gift horse in the mouth or anything like that, but you should at least be open-minded to it.
Again, even if you pitch something and it gets knocked back, say the experience, you can get some really good feedback on why it hasn't worked this time, and then you can go back with that knowledge and work on it and make it better.
Yeah. If there's any studios, big TV people that want to throw money my way, I'm more than happy to put my hands out and grab that money off you. I'm not saying no to anybody.
Right.
I will just throw in. Yeah, we'll sell out straight away. I got no more. Show me the money, as Jay McGuire once said. But just a few more notes.
Well, actually, Nick, Mike was going to tell us his crazy.
Mike was going to tell us his crazy thing.
Questions? There's no more questions in that little round?
There are 1 or 2 more notes, I'll just say, so that they don't get left behind. Nick also said, Forrest Gump meets footballer's wife. Does that mean anything to you? In terms, I'm obviously talking about
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso, as
yeah. I would say I wouldn't say Forrest Gump. I would say Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I would say some kind of the guy from It's a Wonderful Life.
What was the name of that person? That show, was it Mr. Rogers?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great touchdown there. That's a great example.
We never had him in this country, but I know there was a Tom.
You guys didn't have Mr. Rogers over there?
Nah.
Oh man.
We had Mr. Ed, the talking horse. I used to watch that.
We also had Mr. Ed.
Mr. Ed was,
That's really.
I mean, it was your Mr. Ed that we used to watch. It was
Sure,
a black and white show.
As part
We
of
still had black and white programs on the TV over here when I was a kid.
we gave you Mr. Ed. You guys gave us Baltic Towers. I'm not sure how the timeline sets for that. What would you guys give us in the 50s? What would you guys have sent over?
I don't even know if we had TV on in the 50s. We had Coronation Street, maybe started in about 1959. I don't know if that went over to America.
So, me and my buddy have been talking about this idea. Like, you guys familiar with the Dukes of Hazzard?
Yeah.
Yes, we did have that. So we
you guys did have. You get familiar with the General Lee and the brothers and the the whole bit. Luke and Bo Duke, Daisy Duke, the whole bit. All right, so let's say that we remade it in the UK. What changes would you guys want to? What changes would you guys want to see? What would you guys got to go for? My thought was instead of the General Lee, it would be a car colored like the Union Jack. But what car would that be? I don't know enough about the UK cars and this, but like
I think it would have to be a Mini.
Mini,
Mini. And not the new Minis, but the Mini Coopers, like the original, like the Italian job type Mini Coopers. And they are tiny. I mean, literally.
Yeah, I saw one
if you stand next to a Mini Cooper, they come up to about, they come below your shoulder. They are literally like a toy car. And if you were to run over a squirrel in one of them, I'm sure you come off worse than the bloody squirrel.
Oh,
but see, it says Aston Martin, but I think that's too nice of a car.
That's too nice. No. That's absolutely too nice.
Maybe like
okay.
So the other one is it needs to be the Duchesses of Hazzard. So instead of the Dukes of Hazzard, it's now the Duchesses of Hazzard. It's rebooted as two girls.
Everything gets rebooted these days. Is like, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, and I'm not
backtracking.
It's like,
so
I'm not going down that avenue.
So we had Boss Hogg. Boss Hogg was the guy that was trying to stop the Duke brothers all the time. So. And the General Lee had a horn. It was like da 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 da. So we need some British thing in place of the horn. What would you guys suggest?
To be fair, I think that's the horn.
Yeah. I know.
So it's hard to think of an alternative.
Yeah.
But a British one, like even if it's a da 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 da, like something, and then they freeze in midair, and then a narrator comes on and is like, "Will the Duchesses get out of this one?" Like, you know.
Think of like what was that TV show? The old Avengers, not like the Marvel one, but the.
I know. Yeah. You're talking about like
it was actually called the Avengers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, didn't that was quite had that type of feel to it, maybe.
Yeah, well, that's ultimately what Thingy is. I watched it again the other night. That one with bloody hell, what's it called? Kingsman.
Kingsman, yeah.
Kingsman's great, by the way. I watched that again the other night, and that is such a.
I mean, the Benny Hill theme song.
Oh,
yes, there you go.
Is that when they're racing through town, the whole bit? Okay, I'm with you on that. All right.
But you know what? Most kids these days, I don't think anyone under the age of 30 even knows, even in the UK, even knows who Benny Hill is. He was like massive when I was a kid. He was throughout the 80s and the early 90s. He was like massive. But
we used to watch. Who were the other two? Who were the ones with the bowler hats? With the little moustache, fat one and the skinny one.
Laurel and Hardy.
Laurel and Hardy.
Oh,
yeah. Like I say, we used to watch.
I'm glad I got on that.
Laurel didn't have a moustache. Only Hardy had a moustache.
Yeah,
you said bowler hats, and I was like, all of Monty Python. I'm not sure who you're discussing there. But
funny enough, when we were
the last
kids,
one was just the bad guy in Dukes of Hazzard was Boss Hogg.
Oh, in this country, it would definitely be, if it's something to do with cars and modern day, it's definitely got to be the traffic warden. I don't know what they're like in America, but in the UK, they are hated because they've turned it into, like, they are everywhere because it is now a big business. Where in the past, the police used to give out tickets. You know, if you park badly or cause hazards, you get a ticket. But now it's been privatized, and it's now it's a whole industry where people go out and they will fine you before. Like, say if you've left, this was on Facebook the other day. Someone moaned about this. Someone got out of their car and they went to the meter to get a ticket for their car, and within the time they left the car to get to the meter, the traffic warden has slapped a ticket on the car. And when they said, "I've literally just gone to get a ticket," he said, oh, you're going to have to dispute it. And no one ever wins them disputes.
Wow.
And they have literally...
So you're talking about an evil Rita meet her maid situation.
Yes.
Okay.
And it is a huge, huge, massive business in the UK where they find you left, right, and centre. Everyone gets fined all the time over here.
Yeah.
And they find any way of tricking you into
man.
like they don't even have.
I saw a great thing on Facebook. There was a guy who said what he does is he'll park up his car, won't put a ticket on, and he'll sit there with the app, and he'll wait till they're just about to write a ticket, and then press it on the app. So technically, it goes on a minute before. I'm like, that's a great idea.
It doesn't work out. It doesn't work because they can get you on the. They've got the CCTV cameras everywhere now, everywhere, and you can pull up, and you think you're all right because you can't see the traffic warden, but they got you on the bloody camera. They even have people driving around in cars now with the dash cam, recording all the people down the street, getting all the registration, and sending your thing in the post. It is a massive bit. So anyway, to answer your question,
Mini Coopers. How far does that go back? When's the first Mini Cooper?
The what? Oh, Mini Cooper.
Go back.
It must have been like 61. I don't think it was the 50s. I think it was literally like very early 60s, like 62, something like that.
Let's say 70s, 80s, still the same time period as Dukes of Hazzard, the Duchesses of Hazzard, and let's say in the place of, so there would be a Roscoe, but something like that. But there would be a guy, or there'd be a meter maid person like you're talking about, like the enforcer. But let's say that it goes to the top, and it's the queen. The queen is the one who wants to stop these Duchess girls.
I think, do you know what? The car would have to be a Ford Capri.
Ford Capri, okay, that's not bad.
Oh no, what about no, yeah, I'm not thinking of the Capri. What else did we used to have? Like that everyone used to drive around in. It wasn't an Escort, or maybe an early Escort. I suppose the Capri, but there was another one I can't.
I tell you right now, like when it comes to UK cars, my brain, like I said, Aston Martin. I have a very small list of vehicles. I assume that you guys have, and it's Mini Cooper. I agree.
I suppose if it's something...
Mini Cooper, Aston Martin, and double-decker bus. That's all I got.
I mean, if it's something going to be like the one in the Duke of Hazzard, then yeah, I agree. But the Aston Martin is a bit too flashy, so Anthony's probably correct with the Ford Capri.
Ford Capri.
A Ford Capri, and because that actually looks similar to Major League vehicle. I mean, I don't even know what was that, a Mustang? A Ford Mustang in the Duke of Hazzard?
Oh, I don't know what it was. I have a Charger or a Dodge Charger. I don't know, like Charger.
The Triumph TR7. That's another good.
Now
car.
I need to know. Hang on. Now I need to know what was the General Lee. What was the General Lee? What was the General Lee? Oh, it just says racist.
Oh, well, yeah.
It says Dodge Charger.
Was it Dodge Charger?
Yeah, wasn't General Lee a actual general from the Civil
exactly.
War?
Yeah.
From the opposite.
It's a Dodge Charger. It's a 69 Dodge Charger, so yeah.
Right.
Oh, so how about the O Britannia song for the horn? They would hit the horn and go, bop, 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 bop.
Yeah, they'd probably say that's racist in this country. Anything
Is it?
Yeah. Anything that's kind of, I'm not saying it should be, but anything that's kind of to do with British flags.
I've never heard that. Well, I mean,
it's like the hard.
It is appropriate for the car then.
Sorry?
I said maybe it is appropriate for the car. A lot of people generally was a
well,
racist vehicle, so.
Don't get me wrong, I don't think that should be the case, but there are plenty of people that will say that.
Sure.
So anyway, did that answer? Did that answer what you was hoping for?
Yeah, I'm just like I like brainstorming with you guys. I like just sitting here going, we're like, hey, like if we did this, like if you could you guys show me like a mock-up of a blue Union Jack Dodge Charger whipping through the streets of London? Like I imagine that Ant could do it like it's nothing. But
no, it's definitely, because that's what's great these days is everybody's made everything, so like you can find the models, you can you can put it in the environment. So like in Unreal, you literally just find all the find the environment, find the car, and away you go.
So this is we can absolutely talk about this off the air.
It was fun.
Giant mechs, giant robots, giant like how hard is it, Ant, to make up your own? If you said, hey, I want a giant robot, dude, but I don't want it to look like all the ones that I've seen. This is how hard is that to fabricate?
No, not hard at all. And there's different ways of doing it. You can either make it all from scratch, or you can take elements of different ones that are out there and find models and build stuff up. One thing that what I said would be a great idea to do with like this. So like the xsens VR like mocap setup that we got now. What I'd love to do is put me into a mech suit and like me walk around, but like have my character inside it. But then it also controls the thing in real time. But
that's crazy. Yeah.
What I would then love to do is make it multiplayer, so somebody else remotely somewhere else could be in their mech suit and we could fight with the mocap suits. And technically,
you had a whole idea for a show for that, didn't you?
What about a giant game of tag with that? Could you be like a giant kaiju and a giant alien creature? Could you just be like playing tag like if you guys are playing tag in a regular park, but then like the park was put into a virtual background, like what you're on right now? Could you do that? Could you have a giant game of tag?
Possibly, yeah. If you had enough. I'm not sure how far I think this track's pretty far, so I definitely think it could be done. Yeah, that's the thing. Cool. It's like with all this stuff, you can do some crazy stuff with it. It's just coming up with the ideas, and then also finding the people who can do all the programming bits, because that's where it gets tricky. But a lot of the stuff has already been done in games already, and it's just how can we bring it to? That's what I want to see more of: interactive, real-time stuff with crazy, like I say, crazy kaijus. Big robots, and definitely doable. It's just, again, it's like, how long will it take is the question.
Have you guys, and I think I've asked you in the past, like if I said, and I'm very curious if this kind of thing would catch on, where it's like, there's things that people love. It's like, I've never seen a sitcom, just a normal sitcom made in exactly what you've got with the 3D, with the real-time 3D thing. Or it's like a skit show. I don't know why people can't just be like, look, like I see these, you've seen them, where it's like people make these, on TikTok and Instagram, and like they're just like these really short 30-second things. Like, can we do that exact same thing? Like, could we just write up a couple really, really funny jokes and just have them being told through a cast that is the same cast every time?
I mean, like Saturday Night Live sort of thing.
Yes, if you said, hey man, like here's an Avatar SNL. Here is a
it's kind of like what we're doing now. You could literally so it's doable. I mean, we have seen people doing it with AI as well.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it at least not the way that I'm picturing it, where it's like, hey, like if you said like, hey, we wrote up these 4 skits, we don't have the budget to go produce them in Rockefeller Plaza, like we can't put them on in like a big set stage, and this, and in the meantime, showing off to people that, hey, you do know how to produce, how to direct, how to this by showing it virtually. Like I keep going back to the horror movie thing, where it's like, look, man, we have so many. Everybody I know has an idea for a weird horror movie. We've got. I'll tell you guys one off. I'll tell you guys one off the air, so to say. But to make it virtually, I haven't seen real-time 3D or something like that. Like jump into that space, and I think it's
still only really been accessible in the last couple of years, like since there's lots of different softwares have been updating stuff. Graphics cards have been getting better and cheaper, so we're getting to a point now where it is doable and on a bigger scale and at a good quality. So I think you will start seeing all that type of stuff soon. I'm definitely, because we keep an eye on what people are doing, and I'm seeing more and more stuff. I mean, if you ever want to see some really cool stuff that's done with this tech, there's a guy called Corey Strasberger, I think. Probably get that wrong, but he's got a channel called Blue. And I'll send you a link. Xanadu, and what he's doing is amazing. Like it looks movie quality, and that can all be done in real time as well. So this is gonna
sound like slamming, and it's not. I would love to see you guys make some kind of short, and then just be doing this every day. The thing that you guys are sitting here talking amongst each other now, like discussing how you made the choice on this, how you made the choice on that for a super, super short. I'm not even saying a 10-minute short film. I'm saying like the shortest of thing. A character walks up, tells 2 jokes, and this, and I think that I'm kind of waiting for it myself, where it's like I'm waiting to see like that real-time 3D, like has something that really pops, like has something that really like, everybody had to watch it, not because of the technology involved, but because of the storytelling involved and the characters.
And this is what you see happening a lot. You've got the people who are good with the technology. So, so there's 3 areas. There's people who are good at the art, creating the characters, the assets, the environments, and the lighting and all that type of stuff. You got the people who are good at the content, and you got people who are good at the technical side, and each side seems to be working on their own thing. It's when it all gets brought together is when you'll start seeing some, and that's what's kind of happening now, I think. But so we can build this stuff, we can create the characters, but we're not comedy writers. We're not
right.
Not performers. But if we
talk for yourself.
Yeah. If we could get this set up to somebody who can write the content well, that's when we can really start to show it off. And that's where I say about like it takes teams of people, because everyone's got their strengths.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you got to bring.
And you've been going back to that question before of like that's why you would want to get the studio. That's why you want to partner with people. It's like these things aren't like as close as we're getting to any one person could do it. It still would take hours and hours and hours, and 2 times, twice the people would get it done in half the time. So
Well, I mean, we'll talk, or we can easily just chat. I mean, oftentimes when we've had like arranged a meeting to discuss a project, we'll probably spend 2 hours talking about anything but.
Right.
And then the last couple of minutes getting around to talking about the project. Yeah. But whilst we're here, is there anything you want to talk about, you want to discuss that you're working on, or you plan to work on, or you would like to work on, that you would like to, discuss with us before? Cool.
I mean, you guys have seen it. I got I have a really, really goofy little game show idea called Give Me 5, and it is Abraham Lincoln asking people questions, and it's just like it's really silly, and it's like again, no one's asking for that. No one's out there going like, hey, you know what the world needs? The world needs a cartoon version of Abraham Lincoln asking trivia questions with the max prize of $5. Nobody needs that, but I like it. I like it a lot, and I'm just like, I want to make more of that. I do want to get into doing some kind of scripted narrative, some kind of like really, really short. And there's plenty of ideas for this. So it is just like sitting down and saying like, hey, let's find the right one. And I would love to do it with you guys too, where it's like, hey, let's not only do we find one, but let's openly show people how we did it. Like here's Mike's script. We had a meeting. We discussed where it needs to be punched up. It needs to be changed. It needs to be this. We went over the storyboards. We went over like we all agreed how to make it creatively better. I don't think there's enough of those kind of things.
I mean, like a director's commentary.
What's that?
Like a director's commentary. You don't even sit, because we've lost the DVDs nowadays. You don't get them like you used to. So like you say, you can make something, and then you can make a video of us watching what we've made, talking about how we made it.
Yeah. And I think that even showing the use of the tools, and even showing the use of the just like the problems that people run into, it's like I love those things. My favorite thing is to see like, hey, I'm sure you guys have seen Age of Ultron, where it's like. I saw something behind the scenes and it was like, here's how they did the motion capture suit. Like, great. And it's like, but I love hearing the problems of like, we had a script and it was too big. We had to find a way to cut down 14 pages to get it under a certain time. It's like, I love that. Like, cause then you're talking about my real favorite thing is like problem solving, whether it be the conventions, which we haven't really talked about too much on this, but like the conventions, there's a million things that can go wrong. It's like you can hire 10 celebrities to appear and then only 9 of them make it, and one person has some kind of conflict, or advertising or marketing or booking venues or all these things. And then when you look at it, that's kind of why I was like, I think I could actually not say make a name, not to say make a name for myself, not to do that, not to do the Gambit thing, but to say I would enjoy trying to do something more on a creative level that is more smaller scale, because it seems smaller scale. Like I'm used to doing these events where it's like, oh my gosh, we have to handle tens of thousands of people. And it's like to say, I can work with a team of 5, like me, you 2, and find 2 people to voice act, which we know plenty of voice actors from the shows and stuff too, that want to be involved in stuff. So it is like, it's all doable. But again, the fun is almost like, hey, we ran into a limitation. How can we still be creative within it? Like I do actually enjoy a challenge like that. I don't mind when it's like, there's a monkey wrench. Amongst 5 people, a monkey wrench is not that bad. It's an opportunity to show how creative you can be. when it is a big thing and you don't have a lot of say in it, and it comes down to somebody else and their efforts, where it's like, that's not really as fun. That is like you're trying to control something that's probably out of your control. But when you say like, I want to make a very fun, simple, creative thing, it's like, yeah, like as many times as all of us have messed around with like, yeah, like the Adobe character animator software stuff or the real-time stuff. It's like, yeah, like just to put some more stuff out there and like show people and say, here, we did it just for the challenge of it. This is not supposed to be number one of an ongoing 100-part series, or it's not supposed to be proof of concept for a movie. No, it is exactly what it is. It is this tiny little thing, and here's exactly how we made it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit like what we've been doing with like this talk show. But one of the ideas is to showcase how we do things, and it's not set up perfectly. But every episode we've been trying to just throw something new in, just kind of go like, oh, we could make it work, or this could work. It's just a way of just showcasing it, and it's fun. Yeah. It's like, okay, let's try something new.
I think the good thing about it, because like, I mean, I did go back and watch the other ones, and even sitting here talking to you guys now, it's like, yeah, man, it's good to be around other people talking about wanting to create things. And sometimes that's, not to say the community of it, but there's something nice about it. There's something like good about being around other people who have dreams and ambitions and they want to create things too. And even for the people like listening, I'm sure that you guys have tons of folks that are like, they would die to be working with you guys on something. They would love to submit something. They would love to say, hey, I've got this short I made, down the road. If you guys ever put together a thing, can we all show them together? Can you guys start building towards a channel that is not just you guys and has other stuff? And
we have planned that in the past. We have thought about doing like a community page where everyone uploads. It's one of those where it's difficult because actually it's only the two of us, and we're so
I know, yeah.
No, done that.
Well, that's just it's not the two of you guys. Like even the people that are sitting here watching this right now, like there's got to be some people like, God, I would love to be part of that. Like actively watching right this second, saying like, oh my gosh, if these guys could show off my cartoons that I make too, and if I could help them in some way, it's like all we're talking about is community. All we're talking about is saying like, hey, let's all create something. Let's all have a good time doing something.
Well, the thing is, one of the reasons that we started up the live show originally, going back to about 2018, was when me and Anthony got started working in animation and design and character and all that sort of stuff. We didn't go to university, and we just kind of figured it out. Like many people within our industry, we just kind of got the software. You got the Adobe suite, and you learned how to do it. But that also meant that because we was on our own, we didn't have anyone to ask how to, even simple things like how do you price a project? How do you, what program should I use for this, that, or the other? And so maybe what, I've had a lot of conversation with people since, but I've been able to point them in the right direction, like super quick. Where we've
met people since that, like if I hit a problem or don't have to do something, I can just reach out to someone that we know and go, do you know how to do this? And they'll be like, yeah.
Right.
That community is brilliant.
And not to say that, hey, man, you need something that's bigger and more official or more this is. I'm saying, hey, if you guys have that, that's great. But I can see where it benefit you and everybody, where it's like, hey, we're always showing something on Fridays, or we're always doing this. We're showing off somebody on Tuesdays, or yeah, man. I was like, I do dig it, and I've always been a fan of you guys as people. So it's like, look, if it's something that like, if there's any help that I can give to it, absolutely. But like,
we definitely need to do something.
Right. But I mean, even with the conventions, it's like, look, we have rooms that we're allowed to showcase stuff. And if you guys said, hey, if you guys get us your best and brightest every now and again, we can say, look, we can show it off in the room, in one of our conventions, and like anybody who's welcome to watch it. Or I've said this before too. It's like, it's really easy to say that anybody who buys a ticket to one of my shows, like, we'll send you a link when the show is over and say, here's a free thing that you can go watch because you like superheroes, you like anime, you like this. As long as it's roughly in that wheelhouse. And sometimes it could be just cartoons that they don't have a home. They don't have any, like, there's no place for them to go. It's like, the best example is me saying, give me 5. Again,
talking about give me 5, have you ever thought about at your convention setting up a booth and doing Give Me 5 live, doing using your puppet and doing live games with people?
The answer is yes, but to go back, it is like at the same time that like as badly as I would love to do that, I probably need to do that at other people's events because I'm still the person that's got to oversee thousands and thousands of fans and issues and problems and lines and like one person like hypothetically a kid loses a teddy bear. I'm probably the person that's going to hear about it and has to go help and this. It's like okay, so it's like I would be setting myself up for failure if I said let me go sit at a booth for a little while. It's like I would be tempting fate. I'd be like, okay, I'm just going to be here. Nobody mess with me for an hour. And well, in that 1 hour, everybody's going to need me or something's going to go wrong or whatever. I'm not opposed to it in any way. I love it. I was like, I think I told you guys where it's like I'm seeing more and more of these. They have these pop-up banners. Everybody has them for like conventions, and they pop up behind them to say who you are. They say what you've done. And it's like I would love to see more interactivity with those. I would love to see foam cutouts of superhero characters. I would love to see people interacting with the superheroes. I would love to see people interacting with characters. I'd love to see comic book trivia. Who cares? Like, I mean, like again, like I would. The answer is yes. I would absolutely love that. I don't know logistically how I would do it in the moment. I don't know how I do it. So, but yeah, it might be something we have to do. Like, hey, the show runs from 10 to 4, or the show runs from 10 to 6, and it's 7 o'clock. Once most of the people are out of there, you could come up and you could watch we showed, I will say this, we showed 2 short films. One of my production partners is Johnny Young Bosch from the Power Rangers, and he's done Vox Rocket Studios, and he does all kinds of great stuff, amazing stuff. And we showed 2 shorts that we did, and it was fantastic. It was absolutely great. And I think the only thing that I would do is, well, next time we'll try to show them some animation too, or try to show them something that you guys are working on, or show them something that you guys recommend. It's like I'm totally down to be more involved in stuff like that, and to help people not say be more creative, but like I'm not in a position that I could be somebody's producer on like a huge level, but I am totally fine with just saying, hey, you know what? Show us that you're working on something and it's really coming along, and it needs a little bit of help to get from here to the end, or to get posted, or this, or you guys have made it entirely. It just needs to be shared. And I'm very, very, not to say brutal, but I'm very, very honest with like my opinions of stuff. And it's like, hey, my fan base isn't going to like this, but if it is something that I think my fans would enjoy, then I have no problems, sharing it on all of our platforms and to our fans.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
I mean, like I say, anyone watching, feel free to
Right.
So, yeah, but I mean, we're always open to like collaborations with stuff if people got ideas, and if it's something that's not too big, where it's gonna take all our time. But we do really try, and because we want to be involved. We see some really cool ideas. Some people are working on some really cool stuff, and it's like I'd love to be working on that, and it's just the day job kind of gets in the way sometimes. But
right, or you have to have you have to be working on the projects that are bringing in money so that you can keep the company afloat, et cetera, et cetera. I get it. I totally get it.
But we do, every now and again, like we'll have evenings free. That's why we're doing, like this live chat. We've attempted to make things for ourselves before and worked with other people and stuff, and it's just we're always open to ideas and getting involved.
Next, I will say this, because this has truly been a good fun experience. Like the next time I want to do this again sometime, and I want to also be an animated thing. I don't care what, I just want to also be an animated thing.
Come on, as Abraham Lincoln.
I would love. I mean,
we've worked on so many characters together. You got a massive
There's plenty of things to do and stuff. Let me ask you guys this, because like, not to say the flip the Q&A part of it, but like, could you guys yourselves personally, just 2 human beings, could you guys see yourselves knocking out a full movie, a full underground, independently done movie?
Yeah, I could easily make a full movie if I had the time. And time, I suppose, equal. So ultimately, that's what it comes down to, isn't it?
Right.
You need time, and time means money. Because if I was to say, right, it's going to take me 2 months. In fact, I think I've mentioned to you in the past, I've been working on this book now for
I remember
absolutely years. It's just like a side hobby project, which as a creative, and this is something else we discussed a lot, shiny syndromes, shiny thing syndrome.
Shiny syndrome, yes. SOS.
Now the book is very almost finished. After like I mean, I started writing the bloody thing back in 2001, and but I mean, I started properly writing the thing I wrote it as a script first, and then last year or maybe 2 years ago, I started to properly novelize it. And also, my skills as a writer over the last 20 odd years is massively different to when I first started writing it. Anyway, my point is, I've got something that I could turn into an animated film. So if I wanted to turn that into an animated film, I reckon I would need 6 months, maybe not even 6 months, because a lot of it was written as a radio play, and so it was designed to be kind of the characters in one room mainly, though they do go out into other rooms, and there is a lot of sci-fi stuff that happens in it. But I reckon I could get it made in 6 months. But that means 6 months of me not working, and that means not working.
Absolutely.
And I've still got the mortgage and the family and everything to pay for, and that's why you need investors, because you can't just stop and work on something yourself. You need to keep money coming in to pay the bills, and that's why you need to be able to come up with an idea which is commercially viable that an investor would be into. It's a whole, catch-22 chicken and egg whole thing where, and I think the majority of creators are in that situation where they think, I've got an idea that I feel would be great, but to get to the level, to make it, I need some investment money, or I need some time to work in it where I'm not working on a day job. But I can't do that because I need something more substantial to show someone to prove it. Well, I haven't got the time to make that. So that's where a lot of people get stuck in this little vortex that you can never escape. So it's super difficult.
So to answer your question, yes. I mean, with what we've been doing, we've been working with other companies and studios as well, and kind of helping with workflows for using motion capture and real-time technology. And I think there is going to be a big shift. I think there's a way that you can kind of work with motion capture and then build on top of that to get the more traditional animation. Because the problem with motion capture is you do have that uncanny valley sort of thing with it. But now with like some of the improvements in Unreal, you can use that as your base and then start building on top of that to get your squash and stretch and more expression in the faces. So all this just means production time is quicker, and it means that you will be at a time where we will have to turn around a full feature length movie in a very short time, and with smaller teams as well, which is brilliant. Because it just means. And this is a thing that's happening now. People are consuming content so quick. We need more content a lot quicker. We don't want to be waiting. We want to binge, and we want the next season to be out as soon as we've watched the 8 hours. We want a new season every week, not a new episode, a new season.
Right.
Well, I mean, there will come a day, maybe even in our lifetime. Well, probably very likely in our lifetime, where perhaps AI will get to the point and be powerful enough where someone can sit on a prompter and say, right, I want a new Avenger movie. I want Wolverine in it, and I want Wolverine played by, Daniel, whatever he's called, and I want Scarlet Witch, and I want it to be based on this comic, and then the AI will churn out a fully realized, cinematic looking movie. I think that will probably come, and then the whole TV cinema industry will totally collapse then. So we should enjoy what we've got while we've got it.
I don't even want to think about that. The way you just described it sounds like you just pitched me a Black Mirror episode that would make the entire industry cry. Like if we just saw it happen, like, oh God, no! It's like the quality control, the QA as it relates to AI is just not there.
Yeah, but you know what it'll be? It'll be like a subscription basis where, like, let's say Marvel, you subscribe to the Marvel AI movie generator.
Yeah.
But then our generation would hate it. But kids that are born into that generation,
there's going to be something that's like a virtual sandbox where it is just like, hey man, anything can picture, we can try to. I get it. I absolutely get it. And again, I'm the wrong person for that, and I think that my generation especially is the wrong people for that. Like, I like the idea of like sitting down and drawing a character, and like you guys do it too, where it's like when you really create it, like hey, like all the work that went into it, you have a better appreciation for it. And I think when you don't have an appreciation for the work that you work that you didn't put in, like then you've got no appreciation for it. You've got nothing to kind of sit there and go like, I feel an investment towards it because I know how hard that was to make. It's like somebody makes a friggin' thing in like, somebody makes me an hour and 30-minute Avengers movie overnight. I'm not sure I want to,
The problem is, and we're already seeing this, is that you lose community. Like us growing up in like the 80s and the 90s, we'd all talk about the movies that we was enjoying or looking forward to.
Right.
And those movies blew up and they were like, became the franchise and famous that,
right.
That we're still following today. However, and it's the same with pop stars. We all used to follow the same music channels like MTV or whatever. In the UK, you had Top of the Pops, and we saw the same bands coming on. And as a collective, we all, followed these pop stars, and then they become mega famous. But today, all these kids, it's all diluted. They're all watching 1,000 million different YouTube, TikTok, Instagram channels, and no one's becoming megastars anymore. And that will happen like with that scenario with people watching, generated movies. You sitting down will have that movie generated for you, but there'll never be any shared enjoyment to saying to your mate, "Oh, are we going to cinema to see the latest Avenger movie?"
So you said shared enjoyment. So just to circle back just a couple seconds here. So you said shared enjoyment.
It won't be a shared enjoyment. That's what I meant.
No. I'm saying, and even with like the idea of like the megastars and stuff like that, it's like, is that more important than it is to have? Would you rather have one megastar who the whole world knows, or 50 lesser stars that more people can enjoy, just different?
I don't even think. Yeah, at the moment we're in a scenario where you got one megastar, as in like Taylor Swift. She's like the number one biggest star, I suppose, at the moment.
Right.
Well, when we was growing up, you had the megastars, like so. Back in the 80s, it would have been Michael Jackson and Madonna. Right. But you still had every week a brand new person hitting the number one spot on the Billboard or in the UK chart. And
I mean, not to go off on a whole thing here. It's like I don't know what the charts are anymore. Like, and where do you even check them out? You're not somebody who's if the way that we engage with entertainment is different, then you and I long for that. But like, I don't have huge memories of going. Like, I can't tell you exactly where I was the fourth week of the year in 1992, and what was the number one. Like, I have these vague memories of it. It was a good experience. It was a good time. But like, that's fine. It's just a thing that's not. It's just not. It's just not anymore.
I do remember more, going to school and talking about what had been on the TV. It might have been the X-Files or something like that, and everyone would talk about it. And then in the UK, we had like Britpop, and so everyone would go on about the latest album.
Right.
And it was a whole community, a shared enjoyment. Where it doesn't seem to be that anymore. Because
from time to time, but even what you're describing, it's like you might be looking at it, not to say wrong, but you might have a good strong memory of it being a good time, but it probably wasn't that.
I mean, that's what nostalgia is
all encompassing, because you're saying that yes, it was everywhere and it had no competition, but it's like, I'm okay with there being,
I think you do get it now. This is like when you get things that go viral, but it's
right.
These things are happening like on even a daily basis or every few days. Whereas like back when we were younger, it was a lot slower. Something happened. Something happened once. Maybe
yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? And that's probably what the difference is. It's just compact so much now.
How quickly it can be gobbled up and gone. Like, but I would say that the fact that it can be gobbled up and gone is thanks to the internet and thanks to certain platforms and stuff like that. But that's also made it very, very democratic and meritocracy. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? But I like that it's like just on merit, somebody could make a little video, like something very, very creative, and it gets shared. It's like you wouldn't have that. You'd be limited on like your reach, and now you have the possibility of reaching as many eyes as you want, or as many eyes as find it entertaining are gonna come across it.
Yeah. So going back to like, on a small level, not a small level, but on an individual level, you can build a big following, which is what we see on YouTube. So like everyone now you know, you've got these YouTubers that have got, you know, on average, they've got like tens of thousands of followers, and then the next level up is a few 100,000, and then the next level is a few million, and then your top level is like your Mr. Beast level. But as an individual, you can go where, as I said, back in the 80s and 90s, you had the gatekeepers. If you wanted to be a pop star, or if you wanted to have a hit TV show and you wanted that fandom, you had to get past almost impossible gatekeepers, where now it really is possible to go out there, create content that people can enjoy, and you can build a following around it. So it swings and roundabouts, pros and cons.
Yeah,
exactly. You know,
like either way of getting your stuff out there is totally fine. If you find somebody that's willing to invest in it, great, cool. If you don't and you still believe in it, go out and do it. So there's nothing to hold you back. Yes, the answer is the things that are holding you back are time and money. What I mean to say, it's like, yeah, if you're not trying to hit mega stardom, at least you live in a time where you can actually get on some platforms and share and share and share. And if the stuff is good, it will be found and it will be liked and it will be followed.
Well, I think. Oh, sorry, go on.
So yeah, I think we are hitting the hour-and-a-half mark now.
Oh, gee.
Yeah. I was just about to say. On that note, I think it's the perfect one to wrap up.
Great.
You know, the whole show.
Did I land it? Did I say like, hey guys, I got the perfect right way to end this? That's good.
I really enjoyed our chat, and I hope that anyone that watches will enjoy it as well, and maybe, you know, get a bit of something from it. And you know what we're trying to build up with this show, and with any YouTube show, you've got to do it consistently, and it'll take a while. But we want to generate like a weekly thing where people just come and join in on the conversation. Yeah. Maybe even in the future we can do it so that people can call in. I don't know.
Dude, you guys absolutely should engage with the audience in a way that lets you let them ask questions, let them pre-record some videos and post those videos themselves, but also let people post, let people send you the animations that they're working on, the projects that they're working on. Maybe it's stuff that you guys would like to get involved with. Maybe it's stuff that they just want to share. Like, you know, if not say, hey, make it a completely that kind of thing, but it's like I could absolutely see you guys, you two, being really good hosts to some kind of showcase where it's like, hey, we're going to show off this, we're going to show off this. You know, if Ant is like, hey, I'm going to stick with the more virtual and 3D looking stuff, and if Scott is more of the 2D traditional kind of things, cool. Like, hey guys, these are the best 5 things we got sent this month. Check it out. It's like, great. That's one episode that you guys don't have to struggle so hard for or find guests for this. Like, I mean, a good Q&A episode or showcase episode from time to time would be great for you guys.
No, definitely.
We did used to do that on the original show, didn't we, Ant?
Yeah, and I think that's what we need to get back to doing. Like, you know, we see some really cool stuff that people are making.
Right.
And like I was saying earlier, not many people know about all this stuff because, you know, we're following it, so we're seeing like what people are testing out and what they're doing. But you need to be sharing it.
And you guys know it's like to have 2 animated characters reacting to animation would be pretty neat. That'd be like that'd be pretty dope.
You never know. Like maybe one day, like at one of your conventions, you could do we could test out a live stream where
you can
ask the question from the audiences, get them involved like a live.
I dig it.
Back and forth. Right. Well, could very easily fall straight back into another half-hour conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You better be disciplined and make it the end of the show. So, Mike, thank you very much for joining us tonight on our show. I hope you enjoyed chatting away to us.
It's great.
Cool, and we will definitely have to do it again with you as an animated character.
Yeah, I will. Next time I want to be on here as cartoon Abraham Lincoln. I can't stress that enough. Even if it's for me to ask you guys some questions that you guys pull together from other people or whatever, it's like I got no problems being right in the middle and saying this question comes from, you know.
Yeah, we need to generate a thing where we can find an audience to like send us in questions, and we can just, you know.
Yeah, I think that's our next task.
I mean, question that takes some time for you guys to like look into and answer and say, hey, like here's this, or like, I mean, it'd be great. Like if you guys do once you guys hit a certain number of subscribers, like one of those, like not to say reveals about you guys, but like the tables are turned on you guys, where it's like, hey, like here's how I got my start, and here's what I'm really into, and like here's what I like. Just a little, just kind of not to say gamifying the following, but like to say that once we hit a certain level, we'll reveal more about ourselves and who we are as animators and the kind of stuff that we want to do.
Yeah, we're still figuring out. Look, I used to follow a channel about photography, and they used to do a live show every week, and basically they used to just have people send in their photos, and they would like say, they'll just give their expert opinion on the photo, like how it looked. And maybe we could do something like that where people starting to get into the industry could send us in their videos. We could give them opinion on their video, but we could also give them advice on what they could do with that video, who they could get in touch with, and maybe help them.
I would also,
younger people.
If you really wanted to get kind of wild with it, you guys could say, hey, and I would love to be part of this. They say, hey, we're going to write up something that's only 5 minutes long. We're going to try to make it over the course of 6 months, yada, yada, yada. You guys could be having auditions for people on here. You guys could be saying like, hey, we're going to interview some voice actors. We're going to interview some voice people that are not in the industry. We're going to get people that can do these imitations or this. I'm sure you guys have tons of followers that are into that stuff as well. They'd love to see, well, how would I record my part from, across the globe? Or how would I record my motion capture from across the world? And again, to show it off, man, like I think you guys have something really, really cool here.
There's a lot we need to do, and we're still very much experimenting. But no, that sounds definitely something we need to try out. Anyway, look, I just said it about 5 minutes ago. It's very easy to fall back into another.
Yeah, you're right. My apologies.
And we did exactly that.
Yep.
So, I think the third time, we are going to try and end the show, and we are going to say thank you very much for joining us.
You guys have an official sign-off? Do you guys have an official thing that each of you says?
No, we did used to. I think when we did the show the first time round, we used to have an actual animated intro and an outro, but that didn't happen immediately. That we did about 20 shows, and over the course of that, which spanned 2 years, I think, we built up those things and added them in. So
you guys need like a tune in next time. You guys need something like that's like a really ridiculously goofy sign off.
Yeah, like some pre-made animated outro.
No, just what you guys say. It's like like cheerio, like whatever.
I was about to say cheerio.
Exactly. Right.
I say cheerio quite often.
Right.
And you say bloody hell a lot.
Yeah, I think I do that.
Cheerio, bloody hell, cheerio.
Bloody hell, cheerio.
I don't know if I say it more when I'm
cheerio.
Americans. I feel like I fall into I just fall into the stereotype of what they expect me to say.
Right.
No, I do think I say these things anyway in my everyday conversation.
Right.
Right. Okay. Now for the fourth time, we're going to
fourth and final time.
I'm pressing the button.
Okay.
Cheerio.
Cheerio.